Okay, the Golden Globe nominations have been announced. I'm Dustin Chase with Texas Art and Film, and I'm joined with my Oscar Insights podcast colleague, Mark Schumann. Thank you, Mark, for joining me early this morning.
Thank you, Dustin. Good morning.
We were expecting the Golden Globes to be announced on television. That didn't happen, so we are scrambling to reorganize here. But I want to start with, they announced Best Original Musical Score first, and there were a couple of surprises there. We had The Artist. Madonna's film W.E. was nominated for Best Musical Score, Dragon Tattoo, Hugo, and Warhorse there. For Best Screenplay, they put all those into one category. That was The Descendants, The Artist, Midnight in Paris, Ides of March, and Moneyball. I think it's been a while since Woody Allen got nominated for Best Screenplay at the Golden Globes. In those two categories, Mark, was there anything that you were truly surprised about there besides the Madonna score getting in?
Well, I was just a trifle surprised, but pleasantly, that the Moneyball script got in. I think that it is such a strong film, and Aaron Sorkin, the co-writer, is, certainly one of the most reliable brand names. So I think that was a positive surprise. I was a little disappointed, I think, that The Descendants didn't get remembered in the Best Musical Score category, because I think the use of music in the film was so creative.
Yeah. Well, we saw Ides of March and Screenplay, and as I go through these nominations, you're going to hear that a lot more.
And that's the big surprise. I mean, it's such a strong film, but it didn't get perhaps the serious award buzz during the fall that some expected, but clearly is very, very well thought of by the foreign press.
Yeah, I think the star power certainly helps. So, I didn't get the complete list for Best Comedy Musical. I've got Bridesmaids, My Week with Marilyn, 50-50. What was the other two there?
50-50, The Artist, Bridesmaids, Midnight in Paris, and My Week with Marilyn.
Of course. The Artist and Midnight in Paris, of course, those were considered comedies, and that's why they're appearing here. We expected Midnight in Paris and both The Artist. For Best Actor, Supporting Actor, we had Jonah Hill for Moneyball, Albert Brooks for Drive. I think the Albert Brooks Drive nomination was the only nomination for Drive, correct?
I believe so.
And then we had... surprised in this category was Viggo Mortensen for A Dangerous Method, the David Cronenberg film, which, of course, Texas Art and Film reviewed and saw it at Cinema Arts, but that hasn't shown up anywhere else in the awards year so far. Christopher Plummer, of course, for Beginners, and Kenneth Branagh for My Week with Marilyn. No real surprises there except for Viggo Mortensen, and I guess the fact that Jonah Hill has gotten nominated both here and at the SAG Awards, that we pretty much can expect Moneyball to make a big presence at the Oscar nomination.
Well, I think it is just great for Jonah Hill because it is such a subtle performance, but the power of Moneyball so rests on the authenticity of the relationship between he and the character played by Brad Pitt, and so to recognize Jonah Hill for essentially a comedy performance is just great. That one really pleases me. I'm not wild about Kenneth Branagh's work in My Week with Marilyn. He was really chewing scenery.
And see, I really enjoyed him. So for Best Supporting Actress, not a lot of surprises here. Bernice Bejo for The Artist. Jessica Chastain did get in, and she got in for The Help, so that mirrors the SAGs. So it looks like out of her 6 films, she will get nominated for The Help. A lot of people were worried that her and Octavia Spencer would cancel each other out, but they're both nominated here for The Help. Shailene Woodley for The Descendants, and Janet McTeer for Albert Nobbs. So like I said, not a lot of surprises there. Going on to... Let's see, let's go to Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical, and that was Dujardin from The Artist. The surprise here was Brendan Gleeson for a film called The Guard. I wish Donna Copeland were here to talk about that film, because she actually reviewed that. And that film did get a couple of, I believe, Independent Spirit Award nominations. Joseph Gordon-Levitt for 50-50. Ryan Gosling, his first nomination of the morning for Crazy Stupid Love, the Steve Carell movie, but they put him in lead actor, and maybe he might have been supporting, but they put him in lead here, and then Owen Wilson for Midnight in Paris. So a couple of surprises there, but we don't really expect anyone but Dujardin from that list to go on to the Oscars, correct?
Yeah, it's rare, if you look back at the track record for nominees in this category, to go forward. I think it's great for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be remembered because, again, it's a subtle performance, and he was so moving. And clearly, Ryan Gosling, they love him.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly a Ryan Gosling year. Let's see, let's go to actress in a comedy or musical. There were two surprises here that I kind of yelled out loud. I was very excited to see Jodie Foster nominated. How long has it been since Jodie Foster? I think it's been since, I mean, it's been a long time since she's been nominated for anything. And so Jodie Foster nominated for Carnage. Her co-star Kate Winslet also nominated for Carnage. Charlize Theron, who we expected, Kristen Wiig for Bridesmaids, who we also expected, and Michelle Williams. So those three we had expected. Who got knocked out of comedy that we had predicted, that we were predicting?
I think I had, the only one that I missed in this one was a secret hope that Juliette Binoche would be remembered for a little film called Certified Copy.
Right, and I had put Kate Winslet in there, but that was really just a wishful thinking. Yeah. So I'm really glad that they recognized both. And so we've seen a couple of categories here. You know, The Help getting 2 nominations in one category, Carnage getting 2 nominations in one category. But when you look at that list, just like the Best Actor in Comedy, it's very obvious who's going to win here, and that's going to go to Michelle Williams, and you know, and the actor Desjardins going to get that. So there's no hope for Foster, but it's really nice to see that movie recognized, and it'll be nice to see them at the awards ceremony. So let's look at the dramatic side of the nominees, and there we have George Clooney, obviously, for The Descendants. Leonardo DiCaprio got in there for J. Edgar. Ryan Gosling, again, his second nomination this morning, this time for Ides of March, and interestingly enough, not for Drive. We've seen him at the Critics Awards a lot for Drive. And then Michael Fassbender, who was snubbed yesterday at the SAG Awards, got nominated here. Brad Pitt for Moneyball. So really, I think Ryan Gosling, it's not a surprise that Ryan Gosling's in this category just for the movie that they picked him for, right?
Well, and obviously they have a lot of affection for that film. The other 4 nominees are so clearly ones that we're going to keep hearing. I had this secret hope that Gary Oldman would be remembered, but again, they just love Ryan Gosling. And you know, the Golden Globes do have a habit, because of this split between drama and musical comedy. When they really love somebody, they love to nominate them in both categories.
Yeah. Mark, do you think at this point, since Gary Oldman was left off of the SAG list, he hasn't made a presence in the critics list, do we think at this point that film is probably has no hope at the Oscars, right? Because he's never.
Well, unless, you know, it really catches when it opens and does a lot of money and gets a lot of buzz at that point. But you know, this is where it becomes really tough, because each of these performances that's being remembered kind of has found its niche. You know, Clooney is, you know, delivering this really raw performance. DiCaprio delivers an epic performance. Brad Pitt does a very subtle, solid piece of work, and Fassbender is just, you know, heartbreaking. So, you know, Gary Oldman is very subtle. Tinker Tailor is probably more of an ensemble piece than a real showcase for an actor. Right. And it's just tough. It's easy to get overlooked.
So I think with this category, not that we're predicting winners at this point, but just looking at it, it looks like it'll be a Fassbender versus Clooney kind of race, right?
Well, again, you know, I have my reactions to the foreign press, but I think that if you look at the odds or what's in favor of certain folks, I think that Clooney has the really strong support, the fact that he has both, you know, The Descendants as an actor and The Ides of March as a director, so they love him. Yeah. You know, DiCaprio, this is the only place that J. Edgar showed up, so may not be as much support. Same with Fassbender. And then Brad Pitt, there's a lot of, you know, affection for him and all the work that he does. So I see it in this particular run as perhaps giving an edge to Clooney, just because they have already recognized him for his multiple talents.
Right. So let's skip over to Best Actress in a Drama, and so there we have Glenn Close getting nominated. She got a nomination yesterday at the SAG, so it looks like she's doing much better than earlier in the week. Viola Davis, of course, for The Help. Meryl Streep for her film, and Tilda Swinton for When You Talk About Kevin. Now, the big surprise here was Rooney Mara for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So do you think maybe the late release is affecting The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, or do you think?
I think it's tough to say. I think again, because of this split, you would have to say, or certainly could project that the four close Davis, Streep, and Swinton will be ultimately joined by Michelle Williams in the Oscar race.
Right.
This does help, as you mentioned, the Glenn Close effort.
Yeah.
And I think that again, sometimes with this split, they're looking for that fifth slot.
Yeah. So now, who was? Can you look at our list and see who we had predicted for that fifth spot? Because I don't think any of us had predicted Rooney Mara.
No, we all picked Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah. Okay. So they kind of ignored the independent film.
Yeah, but otherwise we got the main four. Right.
Okay, so we got director left, and of course you had already mentioned that George Clooney they picked him for Ides of March. For best director, we have Woody Allen, which I assumed Woody Allen would get in there, so lots of love for Woody Allen. The director for The Artist, Alexander Payne for The Descendants, and Marty Scorsese for Hugo. And I think a lot of people expected Martin Scorsese to get in here, and I do think with such support for Hugo, I think Marty Scorsese probably will get nominated at the Oscars. How do you feel about the director category? I mean, for the exception of George Clooney, which I think because they ignored Drive almost completely, I think the Drive director will be that fifth slot for the Oscars. But how do you feel about this category for the Golden Globes?
Well, I think that certainly the affection for Martin Scorsese, that he has brought so much to the industry in his effort to bring focus to film preservation, something that he works into the plot of Hugo, and just what he does with the 3D technology is incredible. So it's not surprising to see him. A little bit surprising they overlooked Steven Spielberg just because he's Steven Spielberg. I think the George Clooney mention is, again, part of this affection for that film, and also for him as a contributor. And, Woody Allen, just how cool, and how good of you to predict him, because he is so prolific, and this really was the best thing he's made in a long time.
Well, I must say that I'm glad that the Golden Globes didn't shower Warhorse with things. We'll get to Best Picture, which it's going to be there, but, George Clooney directing Ides of March is much more impressive in my mind than Steven Spielberg directing Warhorse. So that takes us to the final categories for Best Picture Comedy. Of course, we have The Artist, Bridesmaids, 50-50, Midnight in Paris. I think those were pretty expected. My Week with Marilyn's there too. For Best Picture Drama, we've got The Descendants, Help, Hugo, Ides of March, Moneyball, and Warhorse. So that's our Golden Globe nominations, and you can check out who got what predictions on Texas Art and Film. Mark, we're going to be talking about all the nominations on the new episode of Oscar Insights this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you guys next nomination time.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Bye.
Bye. For more information on our review, check out TexasArtFilm.com. I'm Dustin Chase.